NFL fans have their fair share of disagreements, and some of those disagreements recently have been centered around one specific play. That play, of course, being the quarterback sneak. The new style of the play is quite the controversial subject. Is it overpowered? Is it unfair? Those questions are understandable when it comes to the play. If the play is unfair, should the NFL just ban the play? It would not be outrageous as the NFL has made various rule changes throughout its history. Before we can answer these questions, though, we need to go back to where it all started. The origin of the quarterback sneak is not quite clear. If you look at the quarterback sneak page on Wikipedia, it might seem obvious that it was first done in 1912 by Yale quarterback Graham Winkelbaum. That statement, though, is not true. It actually is just a straight-up lie. Graham Winkelbaum never played quarterback at Yale. In fact, he never even played football. In fact, he probably never even existed. There are a few articles out there on the internet that discuss this, and there is no other record of this mysterious quarterback other than this single entry in the quarterback sneak page on Wikipedia. The first real evidence out there of a quarterback taking the ball and running it up the middle was in 1917, where Ohio State drew it up as a fake punt, since back then, the running back would punt the ball after the quarterback moved to the side of the center. This is not the modern quarterback sneak, though. The quarterback sneak we see today was first used in the 1940s once quarterbacks started to actually take the snap directly from the center's hand. The play was used the same way as it is today. On short yardage situations, the quarterback would take the snap and plow through the line to try to gain the first down. The play would be quite popular as it was easy and effective. In 2000, though, the sneak started to go down in usage. By 2017, only 4.8% of short yardage plays on third or fourth down were quarterback sneaks. That had fallen all the way from 12.5% in 2000. The usage was going down, but the play was working better than other options. A pass in those situations only worked 54% of the time, a non-quarterback sneak run in those situations worked just 66% of the time, but the quarterback sneak worked 83% of the time. The icon of the sneak at the time was none other than Tom Brady. From 2001 to 2020, Tom Brady led the league in sneak attempts. He was successful 91% of the time, which was the best in that time span. He also garnered an expected points added, or EPA, of 140 in quarterback sneaks over his career, almost double of any other quarterback of that time. Drew Brees was in second with just 80, but Brady's quarterback sneaks didn't look like the one we all talk about today. The push sneak was not quite around yet. Most of Brady's sneaks were just him going up against the lineman by himself, and it was still successful at a tremendous rate. NFL teams started to realize the success rate of the sneak, and it started to make a revival. Teams started to use the sneak more and more again, so defenses began to counter that by pinching the line in so it would be much harder for the quarterback to get through the line. This, of course, led to the evolution that we all know and love today. The push sneak, brotherly shove, tush push, whatever you want to call it. The Philadelphia Eagles were the pioneers of this new controversial play. It's not far off from the traditional quarterback sneak. The only difference is the 2 or 3 guys behind the quarterback helping push him over the line to gain. Obviously, this will make the push stronger, but this play does have some drawbacks to the traditional sneak. The biggest one being is that the defense knows it's coming. On a traditional sneak play, the quarterback is under center, just like any other play. He could turn around and hand it to the running back, run a play action, or just drop back and throw the ball, just like any other normal passing play. The defense can't all-out commit to the sneak. Take a look at this traditional sneak by Tom Brady. There's a huge gap in the defensive line, and as soon as the ball is snapped, the center seals off the one lineman that could make a play, and Brady falls forward for an easy first down. When there are 3 guys lined right behind the quarterback, though, you pretty much know what is coming. This was really the first instance of the push sneak in 2022. The Eagles pulled this off to seal their Week 1 win over the Lions. This is what sparks a lot of the argument, though. The defense knows it's coming, they do all they can to stop it, but they rarely do. Does that make it overpowered? If it is overpowered, then why doesn't every team use it when they get to 3rd or 4th and 1? Well, you have to look at the 4 most important players on the play. Those are the center, the 2 guards, and the quarterback. The Eagles knew they had some advantages when it came to those 4 positions. Last year, their interior defensive line was Jason Kelce at center and Isaac Seumalo and Landon Dickerson at the guard positions. They have a combined weight of 930 pounds and are all very athletic for guys at that size. Then you have Jalen Hurts taking the snap, who is one of, if not the strongest runner at the quarterback position today. This is what makes the play so reliable for the Eagles. They have the right guys for the job. So just how good are the Eagles at this play? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. Since 2022, the Eagles have an 83.3% success rate in the quarterback sneak with Jalen Hurts under center. This number is lower than the actual success rate of the play because this data accounts for each individual play. For example, it could have failed on 3rd and 1, but they do it again on 4th and convert. This would count as a fail and then a success when it really wasn't a failure and it was an overall success. If you count it as such, it is much closer to a 90% success rate, which you will take any day with any play. Any play that works 90% of the time is a play that you want to be using a lot, and the Eagles do that. On the biggest stage in the world, the Super Bowl, the Eagles ran it 6 times, and all 6 times it was successful. This is where a lot of people started to form their opinions on the play. A lot of fans wanted to see the play banned because it just seemed impossible to stop. That doesn't make sense though. The NFL is just going to punish a team for being good? A lot of people thought in the offseason that defenses would adjust and it wouldn't be as successful, but that is just not the case. I mean, how do you even adjust for this? Just pile guys up at the line of scrimmage and hope you can push the offensive line back far enough to the point where Hurts can't get over the line. If the NFL truly wants to ban the play, it would have to be a problem throughout the entire league. So let's look at how the play has fared in the league in its entirety. The NFL actually conducted a study in the offseason comparing the overall success of the push sneak versus the traditional sneak. They took the numbers from 2017 to 2022 to try to get an idea on what the push sneak was doing in the league. There are 2 types of push sneaks, direct and indirect. Direct is what the Eagles are known to do, go into victory formation and just plunge forward. Indirect would be if a team is in the I form and the fullback comes up and pushes the quarterback from behind, or a tight end might come in motion and then push the quarterback forward. It's not obvious right away, but the quarterback still gets a push. The NFL counted these as the same in the study. Let's look at the numbers from the traditional sneaks first. There's been a total of 944 traditional quarterback sneaks attempted from 2017 to 2022. Out of these, 794, or 84% of them, were successful. Now let's compare that to the push sneak that has taken the league by storm. It has been attempted just 222 times from 2017 to 2022, which is understandable because nobody was really using it until 2022. Out of those 222 times, 181 of them were successful. This gives it a success rate of just 81.5%, which is lower than the traditional sneak. Let's break it down a little further though. Once we take a look at where these sneaks are coming from, things start to make a little more sense. About 30% of the push sneaks are being used at the opponent's goal line trying to score a touchdown, and out of these plays, the push sneak is only successful 69% of the time. There's a pretty easy explanation for this. The big guys are in on defense trying to get a stop at the goal line, and once the offense comes up huddled around the quarterback, the defense knows what's coming. This is the best chance the defense has in stopping it. They have the right personnel in, they know what's coming, and you just gotta outpush them. Between the 20s has a much higher success rate, most likely because the defense isn't prepared for it as much compared to the goal line scenario, and they have to just adjust on the fly once the offense lines up. The traditional quarterback sneak is used far less at the goal line. This makes sense because the sneak relies on there being a gap that the quarterback can fall through to pick up the line to gain. When you're on the goal line, there aren't too many gaps to fall through, which is why teams are using the push sneak more in that situation. While the push sneak may be better at the goal line, it's not significantly better than the traditional quarterback sneak overall. It may be frustrating for defenses to know exactly what's coming but still fail 80% of the time. The reality is, the quarterback sneak has always been overpowered. The traditional quarterback sneak has a higher success rate at the end of the day, so why are people so riled up about this play? The one thing that has brought attention to it is the sudden change in the play and the amount that it's being used. The traditional quarterback sneak has been used about 150 attempts per season from 2017 to 2022, while the push sneak has 222, and almost all those came from just one season, which was 2022. That combined with the fact that the play still works over 80% of the time even though the defense knows it's coming is a big reason why fans are outraged at the new play. So should it be banned? Will it be banned? Well, let's look at some history to figure that out. If you look at the history of the NFL rule changes, almost all of them can fit in one of 2 categories. The first being player safety, and the second one is increasing offensive output. Even back in 1940, the NFL Rules Committee came out and said this: each game should provide a maximum of entertainment so far as it can be controlled by the rules and officials. NFL consultant Hugh Ray is in the Hall of Fame for his work in shaping the rules of the league. Ray worked from the 1930s to the 1950s, and he found it was pretty obvious that there was a direct correlation between scoring and higher attendance. This statement still holds true today. Some of the biggest rule changes in history were made in 1974 when the league implemented a plethora of new rules. Field goals were made harder since the goalposts were moved back 10 yards, and if the team missed the field goal, the opposing team would get the ball at the spot of the kick, making teams go for it on 4th down more often. When teams would go for it on 4th down, there would be more scoring and more excitement. Also in the changes was reducing offensive penalties. Holding was now 10 yards instead of 15. The same was done for illegal use of hands and tripping. In 1978, the NFL put in the illegal contact penalty to make life easier for receivers, since defenders couldn't make significant contact with them now after 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. There have been some rule changes that slow down the offense though, like limiting certain blocking techniques, but more often than not, the rule changes tend to favor the offense. Let's look at the case with the push sneak. It causes more teams to go for it on 4th down, it makes offenses stay on the field for longer, it causes more points to be scored, and it's not an overly unsafe play. These are all things that the NFL wants in their game. Whether you believe that the play should be outlawed or not, I don't think the NFL is going to do it. If the NFL does outlaw it, teams would probably just go back to the traditional quarterback sneak, which we have seen is just as effective, if not more effective in some situations. The goal line is the area where the push sneak gets a lot more use than the traditional sneak, and if the NFL wants more touchdowns to be scored, then they are going to keep that play in the game. They know that more touchdowns means more attention, which means more money, and at the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and they want to make as much money as possible. I think the play is here to stay. You might disagree, but it is what it is. Defenses will slowly get better at defending it, and we may even see a new variation of the sneak in 5 years or so. But for now, I think we will all have to live with the push sneak being around for the foreseeable future.